Roommate was attacked. I know it. I heard it. She's screaming. She was thrown to the ground.
Do me a favor, calm down. Calm down. Other than your roommate, is there anybody else inside the house?
I don't know.
This is Michael Herman. The footage you are about to see was filmed just minutes after he claimed he heard his roommate get thrown out of a window.
So where's your key at?
Inside, downstairs, the back door is open.
Michael leads the police to the back of the house. At this moment, they have no way of knowing if there is someone violent still on the premises, or if Michael is lying.
Sir, come here. Relax, take a seat.
Oh my God.
On the ground, 38-year-old Amie Harwick is covered in blood and barely breathing.
Do you know if there's anybody else inside the house?
I don't.
Anyone else inside? It's the LAPD. Come out with your hands up. Hey, somebody pat him down, please. Hey, stand up. He might be a suspect. He's got blood. Anyone else inside? It's the LAPD. Come out with your hands up. Go back here. I got an open room. There's a balcony to the top.
As it becomes clear that no one else is on the property, police see Michael as the only suspect.
What was going on tonight?
I'm asleep. I've been asleep all night.
Nobody in this house is doing drugs.
I smoke pot and stuff. Yeah.
Okay. What do you mean and stuff?
Well, I smoke pot.
That's it?
Rooms every now and then. Yeah.
Michael appears nervous, jittery. His answers are suspicious, and his hands are covered in blood.
What are you doing here? I don't know, dude. Something's off.
As Amie clings to life, cops immediately bring Michael into the police station.
Can you remember? Do you still hear screaming? I still heard screaming.
But there is only one problem. Michael is innocent, and the only person who can reveal the truth is Amie herself.
The paramedics render as much aid as they can to Amie Harwick. She has an incredibly low pulse, so they're rushing her to the hospital.
38-year-old Los Angeles resident Amie Harwick, who had just spent Valentine's Day with her closest friends, is now in critical condition, fighting for her life. Emergency responders work to keep her alive as police quickly begin gathering as much information as possible from the rest of the crime scene, trying to piece together what happened to Amie.
We do our walk through the house with the first responding officers.
Detectives notice that the French doors leading to the front yard are broken.
Just inside, scattered among the broken shards of glass from the door, there are several small red bloodstains. But as cops continue through the house, the entire rest of the first floor looks strangely untouched.
Somebody broke into this house. Was this a burglary or a robbery? Everything's just a big question mark.
The home is full of valuables and personal items that could have easily been taken. Electronics, art, and other expensive belongings are still where you'd expect. Nothing is missing.
Her wallet, 2 women's bags, and cash, $400 or $500. If this was a robbery or a burglary gone bad, why didn't they take all the cash?
As they continue their search, making their way upstairs to Amie's bedroom, something immediately catches their attention.
These black beads, they were just scattered everywhere.
Unlike the rest of the house, Amie's bedroom is in complete disarray. Her comforter is pushed back as if someone had gotten out of bed in a hurry, and Amie's personal belongings are thrown everywhere. The beads trail from the bedroom out through the open balcony doors. Between the ransacked room and the blood downstairs, it's clear Amie's fall was no accident. And though the full motive isn't obvious, cops now need to talk to the one person they can't ignore any longer, Amie's roommate.
Michael Herman, he's still very nervous, very jittery, jumpy, based on the way Michael was acting. He was the one and only person of interest that we had at that time, but we don't have proof of anything yet.
Michael explains to the cops that he met Amie through a mutual friend, and they've only known each other for a little under a year. A few months prior, Amie had rented out her downstairs bedroom to Michael as a way to supplement her income, a purely practical arrangement. But detectives still have to wonder, is he being truthful?
We had a photographer come and photograph Michael, and that's when we saw the scratches and the scrapes that he had on his body. Very suspicious. Instantly, I'm thinking those scratches came from Amie during a physical altercation.
When detectives ask him to walk them through the last 24 hours, he says he spent Valentine's Day alone, went to bed early around 8 p.m., and then woke up around 9 p.m. to the sound of glass breaking. Thinking it was just Amie upstairs dropping something, he went back to sleep. It wasn't until around 1 a.m. that he was jolted awake again, this time to Amie's screams, followed by what he describes as the sound of her being thrown out of a window. Michael then claims he ran outside and then, in the chaos, scraped his hands while jumping over the wrought iron fence before using a neighbor's phone to call 911.
He was very open and very willing to help in any way that he could. At the conclusion of our interview, I believe that he's telling us the truth, but we can't officially clear Michael until we get more information.
Even if detectives want to believe Michael, all of the evidence so far seems to incriminate him. However, if he's innocent, the real suspect is still out there. Detectives decide to broaden their search to the surrounding area, hoping someone saw something on the night Amie was attacked. Fortunately, Amie's next-door neighbor has exactly what they're looking for.
We locate two relevant pieces of video. First is from the front doorbell camera.
February 15th, 1:08 a.m. The first camera captures their prime suspect, Michael Herman. The video, from 1 a.m. on the night of Amie's attack, shows Michael frantically running from neighbor to neighbor, knocking on doors, trying to get help. It's the first piece of solid evidence that appears to back up his version of events, and the timestamp matches up with his call to 911. The footage seems to support what Michael told detectives, but it still isn't enough to fully prove his innocence. The neighbor's second camera shows something disturbing from several hours earlier. February 14th, 8:53 p.m. The camera shows an unknown white male wearing a baseball hat and gloves. His face isn't covered, but the low video quality makes it nearly impossible to identify him. What is evident, though, is that the man in the footage is not Michael Herman. Then, as the unknown man moves toward Amie's property, they notice he's wearing large, work-style gloves. Even more strangely, he reaches up to cover the camera, clear evidence he's trying to cover his tracks.
By timestamp, the smashing of the window and opening the French doors awakes Michael Herman.
But even with this new footage, investigators have no idea who the man is or who he might be targeting next. The video quality is poor, the figure is blurry, and in a city as massive as Los Angeles, a grainy image of an unidentified white male isn't much to go on. Whoever this man is, though, he has now become suspect number 1. Investigators return to the crime scene with a fresh perspective, hoping to find even a single overlooked detail that could help them identify the culprit. They methodically search Amie's house one more time, looking for any clues she might have left them, and, in the chaos, they find a crucial item, her cell phone. It's lying near the edge of the mattress, and seemingly undamaged. With Amie in the hospital and unable to tell her side of the story, hopefully, something in her phone can help. But before we continue, we'd like to take a brief moment to thank our sponsor, AG1, for helping us bring more incredible survival stories to light. At Unseen, we're all about building healthy habits, and what better time than the new year? In 2026, we're focused on being as healthy as we can, and one simple habit that helps is taking AG1 every morning. It's a daily health drink designed to support gut health and fill in common nutrient gaps, helping you maintain balance and consistency even on the busiest days. The best part? It's just one scoop each morning, no complicated routines or extra steps. AG1 is a small, easy thing in the bigger picture of balanced nutrition. Building healthy habits doesn't have to be complicated. It's a little ritual that can make a noticeable difference in how we feel throughout the day. For a limited time only, get a free AG1 duffel bag and free AG1 welcome kit with your first subscription order, only while supplies last. And now, back to Amie's story. As investigators begin digging through the phone, they uncover a long list of contacts, including family, colleagues, and friends. Amie is a beloved family therapist with a PhD and is even a local public figure, appearing on talk shows, radio, and TV for her work. She has hundreds of acquaintances. Her phone is filled with tons of messages and dozens of people, all potential suspects in her attack. And for detectives, it's a huge challenge to figure out where to start. However, Amie had shared her phone's live location with a single contact, Robert Coshland, giving him the ability to track where she was. At this point, investigators don't know who Robert is, but they're about to learn he isn't just another name in her phone. Robert is Amie's best friend.
Police called me and said, "Can you come down to the station?" Started asking me questions. They told me right away that she had been attacked in her home. Then they'd started questioning me about Amie and who she knew and what might have happened.
Robert is in a state of shock, but willing to do whatever it takes to help Amie. He starts at the beginning, telling police everything he knows about his best friend. Amie grew up in Lansdale, Pennsylvania, with loving and supportive parents. In 1999, she graduated from North Penn High School, and 2 years later, she moved to the West Coast to attend college, hoping to someday make a positive impact on the world as a therapist.
Most of the people that you meet in LA want to be actors, and that was not the case with Amie. She was in school to become a family therapist at the time.
Robert meets Amie in 2012 when they're both guests at an LA pool party. They quickly bond over shared interests and their same offbeat sense of humor. What starts as a casual conversation turns into a friendship that, over the years, keeps getting stronger. They grow closer, becoming best friends, the person they can talk to every day and go to for support.
She was an amazing, friendly, outgoing person that could meet and talk to anybody. And then she was also a super weirdo.
Robert clearly knows Amie better than anyone, and police realize if there's anyone who can help find Amie's attacker, it's him. Cops then ask him about a picture sent to Amie's phone at 2:05 a.m. In it, Amie sits with a friend on a green couch, wearing the same outfit she had on when police found her in the backyard. And, most importantly, she's wearing the same black necklace whose beads cops found scattered all over the crime scene. This photo was taken just 2 hours before the attack. Robert helps police work through the timeline of the evening of February 14th. It's Valentine's Day, and that night, Amie had joined several friends for a girls' night out at a show in Los Angeles. According to the group chat and their messages back and forth, nothing seemed out of the ordinary. They watched a live performance, had fun, and by around midnight, everyone left, including Amie, who went home alone. As detectives continue asking Robert about his best friend, trying to gather every detail about Amie and the night of February 14th, the interview is suddenly interrupted. They stop mid-question as another officer steps into the room. In a quiet, heavy voice, he delivers the news to Robert, news no friend ever wants to hear.
And they said, well, I'm really sorry to inform you, but your friend has passed away.
On February 15th, 2020, at Cedars-Sinai Medical Hospital, Amie Harwick, though she fought hard for her life, was pronounced dead by medical personnel. Robert is devastated. He has just lost his closest friend. Someone he considered family has now been taken from him.
And I spent that day calling everyone. It was tough. I made a lot of phone calls telling people that their closest friend was dead.
I pretty much I didn't have any words at all. In my head, I was thinking, are you sure? And Amie's gone. And, I guess I feel alone. I feel lonely.
Amie was generous, kind, and actively fulfilling her dreams of helping people through her therapy work all across the world. It seems impossible that someone so full of life could suddenly be gone.
Amie's murder was devastating to her family, just unimaginable.
There's a pretty hardcore sadness that's there because you knew that she was still burning really brightly and there was still so much for her to accomplish.
As Amie's friends and family struggle to come to terms with the tragedy, the news of her murder hits the media. Her face is displayed on every news channel, and the city of Los Angeles goes on high alert.
A well-known therapist was killed at her Hollywood Hills home.
Police say she was murdered.
They're also asking anyone who has any information to come forward.
With Amie's murder made public, her friends, family, and concerned citizens want her death answered for. But thanks to their interview with Robert, police have a solid lead. He explained to them exactly what she has been going through for years. It's 2014, 6 years before Amie's murder. Robert receives a panicked call from her, who has just returned from a work trip. She tells him she believes someone broke into her house while she was gone.
And I was like, well, how do you know? And she's like, well, all of my photo albums are missing. I think some pictures are turned upside down. And my computer doesn't work.
Concerned for his friend, Robert immediately drives over to her apartment to make sure Amie is okay. When he arrives, it is clear this was not a normal robbery. All of the typical valuables, her TV, art pieces, and jewelry are still there. Only a few sentimental items are missing. This feels less like a stranger looking for quick cash and more like someone trying to scare her and send a strong message. What's even more troubling is that all the files on Amie's laptop are gone.
I opened it up, and after a few seconds, I determined it didn't even have an operating system, like it had been completely wiped.
Amie calls the police, but they can't do anything to help. Whoever broke in was careful not to leave any incriminating evidence behind. Distressingly, the break-in is just the beginning of a series of disturbing incidents that will follow Amie for years to come. She's targeted by anonymous online attackers. Disparaging emails are sent to her workplace, and there's even a man who keeps lurking near her house at night. Robert does what he can to help, installing cameras on her property, encouraging her to buy self-defense items, and Amie even shares her location with him to feel safer. Robert and Amie were never able to gather enough proof, but they knew exactly who was behind the escalating attacks. And now, Robert tells police their theory, that Amie was being harassed and stalked by one man who's been obsessed with her for years.
They asked who I thought might have done this. Did she have any enemies? She literally said, if anything ever happens to me, it's Gareth. She said those exact words to me.
The year is 2010, 10 years before Amie's murder. Then in her late 20s, Amie is still working on her degree when she attends a party in Hollywood. There, she notices someone who can't seem to take his eyes off her. The man strikes up a conversation with her and introduces himself as Gareth Pursehouse. Amie is drawn to his seemingly down-to-earth energy. He works a day job as an IT specialist, is a photographer, and an aspiring stand-up comedian. The pair instantly hit it off and exchanged numbers.
He was very loud, fun, smiley. It was very clear that he was taken by her.
After months of dating, the two soon make their relationship official. From the outside, they look like a great couple with a bright future, two very talented and ambitious people building a life together in LA. However, over time, Amie's friends notice subtle changes. The once extremely social, outgoing woman starts spending less time with friends and appears withdrawn. She shows up less and less to outings and drifts away from the people who used to be part of her inner circle.
My relationship with Amie definitely changed when they started dating.
But things soon take a disturbing turn for the worse when one night in 2011, after almost a year of dating, an argument between Amie and her boyfriend spirals out of control. Gareth, the once seemingly loving partner, becomes violent. Amie calls 911 for help, leaves the house, and ends their relationship once and for all. Over the following months, Amie begins to build a case against her ex-boyfriend, Gareth Pursehouse. She takes photos of her injuries, documents the harassing text and angry audio messages, blocking him everywhere. Armed with pages of evidence, she brings her case to the police.
From our background checks, we found several police reports. We learned Gareth had gotten physical with Amie.
The court grants a 5-year restraining order, and Amie tries to move forward. With the protective order in place, Gareth is out of her life, on paper. In reality, Amie is still looking over her shoulder. She just can't shake the feeling he's still out there, watching. Although Amie and Robert both know that Gareth is behind the disturbing incidents over the last several years, like many stalking cases, there's no hard proof, and so the restraining order expires.
She really was worried at that point. She said, if anything happens to me, it's him.
With Robert pointing them to Gareth, police now have a name and a face to compare to the Ring camera suspect. And when they place the photo of Gareth next to a still of the unknown man from the neighbor's footage, it becomes evident that both Amie and Robert have been right all along.
And now I'm looking at the video and I'm looking at the photos. He was in the same height range, a weight range, an age range. Until finally I say to myself, that's Gareth Pursehouse.
Now that the police are certain they have the killer's identity, they review the remainder of the footage with Gareth in mind, piecing together exactly what happened the night Amie was murdered. It's February 14th, Valentine's Day, 8:53 p.m. Gareth Pursehouse is captured on the neighbor's Ring camera, sneaking into Amie's yard by climbing into her property. Then, he uses his gloved hand to smash through the glass of the French doors, accidentally cutting himself in the process, and enters the house. This was what Michael, asleep downstairs, would later say he thought was just Amie dropping a glass. He leaves the downstairs untouched, creeps up to Amie's bedroom, and, terrifyingly, slips into her bed under the covers. Minutes turn into hours as Gareth waits patiently for the moment Amie, his ex-girlfriend from 9 years ago, will come home. 1:01 a.m., Amie, returning from her night out with friends, sends a text to Robert. He has no idea that this will be the last communication he will ever receive from her. She heads upstairs like she always does, unaware that anything is wrong until she reaches her bedroom. There, she's suddenly face to face with Gareth. He lunges at her, instinct kicks in, she throws her phone at him and turns to run.
He grabs her, rips the necklaces off of her neck. She bites him in the arm. She's fighting for her life.
At 6 foot 4 inches and nearly 250 pounds, Gareth has a huge advantage. Amie stands no chance as he pushes her towards the edge of the balcony. Gareth makes a quick escape and is spotted again on the neighbor's Ring camera, just as Michael, Amie's roommate, runs for help and calls 911. With all the evidence police have collected, the blood at the crime scene, the text messages, the history of stalking and abuse, the restraining order, and the footage from the Ring camera, they have everything they need to make an arrest. February 15th, 2020, 4:30 p.m. Officers race to Gareth's apartment in Playa del Rey. They arrive in the nick of time, confronting him just as he is attempting to leave.
They stopped him out on the street and told him that he was going to be transported back to our office and that we would sit down and talk at that time.
As detectives process Gareth, they discover scratches all over his body. Clearly, he's been in a fight. There's also a large bruise on the inside of his bicep, which looks suspiciously like a bite mark. Detectives obtain a DNA sample from Pursehouse to compare with the blood found at Amie's home.
When I asked Gareth during our interview when was the last time he had seen Amie, he said it had been years. He was very nonchalant, kind of shook his head. Then when I told him that she had died, his demeanor completely changed.
When Gareth Pursehouse refuses to answer any questions about the death of his ex-girlfriend, detectives are forced to stop the interview. He shuts down, offers nothing, and that silence is very telling. He is booked into LA County Jail. Nearly 3 years later, Gareth Pursehouse stands trial for first-degree murder. Although Amie can no longer speak for herself, her family and friends never miss a court date, ensuring her voice is the loudest in the room.
I want the judge to see how important she was, and I want to be there for her.
During the trial, dozens of Amie's friends step forward to testify, giving the court a clear picture of who she was, a beautiful, inspiring woman, a loyal friend, and a positive light in the lives of everyone who knew her. Robert takes the stand and walks the jury through her story from the very beginning, how Gareth stalked her for years, how he broke into her home and stole her photos, and how he harassed her online. Amie took countless measures to protect herself, yet it wasn't enough to deter him. Prosecutors also present another crucial piece of evidence, the blood from the crime scene, found near the shattered glass at the door, matching Gareth's DNA. The most powerful moment in court, though, comes from Amie herself. In a letter she had written just 30 days before her murder, she details a disturbing encounter with Gareth right after her restraining order against him expired. He finally showed his face after many years of anonymous harassment, caused a public scene, screaming at Amie, and then vanished as quickly as he appeared. This letter becomes her voice at the trial, making sure the jury and Gareth himself are confronted with Amie's truth. September 28, 2023, the jury presents their verdict. Gareth Pursehouse is guilty of all charges, including first-degree murder. The judge hands down the maximum sentence, life without the possibility of parole. After the heartache, grief, and years of fighting, Amie, her family, and friends finally receive justice. Amie's story inspires others to live life unapologetically, just as she did, and to refuse to give their power to anyone else.
can't live your life in fear. And if you want to live in fear, you're giving that person control over you. And that's not who she was. She was her own person, and she was going to control her own destiny, and she would never give him that power, ever.
The death of Hollywood therapist Amie Harwick has sparked more discussion across the nation about domestic violence and stalking.
Amie's life, her words, and her work had all been centered on one thing: lifting up the people around her.
We'd like this to be a legacy for her because she did so much to empower women.
She always wanted to help people. That was ingrained in her very being.
Her legacy lives on through her friends and family, fighting for the causes she cared about, including a petition in her honor to pass legislation to help survivors by changing laws on stalking and domestic violence.
She was an incredible influence. She's going to change the world through her death.
I see a lot of Amie in my life still, in my friends. She inspired a lot of people to be themselves, and that'll be with me till the day I die.